The other thing, and I put this in here sort of, it'd be great to do a show of Mythbusters for Willow Grove Park, but when we get to six-gun territory, people are like, well, that existed before. It's like, no, it didn't. Six-gun territory was a specific period in time, which we'll get to. The Hankins, however, put in, there had always been, from about 1910 on, a miniature railway. In 1960, the Hankins renamed it the Frontier Express. And it basically took you around the north side of the park, and it had a Western theme, which is why people always think that six-gun territory was nothing new, but it was. So here we go. I love this, right? The Indian hanging the cowboy. I can't imagine that would fly in today's theme park designer's politically correct brochure. Here's another view of that ride. Six-gun territory comes in 1971. The Hankins sign a 10-year agreement with the National Recreation Services in Atlanta. They promised to put in $1 million, and they call it six-gun territory. It opens for 72 season. Here's the brochure front and back because it has lots of color pictures, and I didn't have many color pictures. But they had gunfights, they had dancing on the saloon stage. There's the kick line. The other interesting thing here is one admission. You didn't pay for rides. You didn't have to worry about how many tickets do I need to get on this ride. It was you paid a flat fee and you got in. Unfortunately, from the 60s on, the park just sort of really declined. People didn't want to be there anymore in terms of mothers taking kids and families going. This is the inside of what was their little Wild West town. There's a gunfight. This picture's here to show you that this is what was the Western, this is the area where the saloon was and the gunfights, and that's where they had the shows, and that was the Western theme. And that was the reason behind them calling it six-gun territory. The rest of the park, it was just a regular amusement park. That's where your theme was. This is your facade, your old facade for the giant racing coaster. So in that footprint is where they had the six-gun territory theme area. In 1974, the casino was destroyed by fire. In 1975, there would be 3 electrical fires in 1 month in the Alps. Obviously, there were more for the rest of the summer. In August of 1975, the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry comes in and orders an investigation. There's problems in the park. 1975, late in the year, National Recreation Services pays the Hankins $3 million to get out of their 10-year lease. They're done. The Hankins go to the Philadelphia Toboggan Company and say, we're required to work on these 3 rides. Give us your price. $200,000 for the Nickel Scenic, which is beyond economical repair. Alps in similar situation, $500,000. Thunderbolt also needs major work, $250,000. Plus, if you throw in the cuddle up, $50,000, you're at $1 million. 1976, that was a real $1 million. Within a week of them getting this letter, Willow Grove Park no longer is going to be open. The Hankins announced that that's the end. They have a going out of business sale. You're welcome to buy any ride. For those that were there, these are sad pictures. In 1977, they announced plans to sell the park to Ronald Rubin. And in 1978, Rubin joins with Federated Stores Realty and announces plans for a regional mall. This is the carousel in the second carousel building that was put in, I'm thinking, in 1910. Anyway, it stayed through the rest of the history of the park. Charlotte Dingler will buy it. She will put this up in Peddler's Village. and many of you might have seen it up there. After her death, her estate sells the carousel, and the pieces scatter. The Swan makes its way up to Max Hankins' house opposite the entrance to the Willow Grove Naval Air Station. That is not Max, where it will rot away. 1979, the administration building burns, and there's sort of lots of fire pictures that one could show here, but I figured one was painful enough. Here's a few color shots of the park in its final days. Right after they announced the sale of the park, the Hankins get in a family dispute. And it's actually still going on. But for our purposes, the judge finalizes the sale of the park in September of 1980. This was the ladies' pavilion. There's the first carousel building reduced for the Tilt-A-Whirl. As soon as the judge, on September 10th, 1980, finalizes the sale, demolition begins. This is the Alps coming down. This is the old food pavilion right across from the Alps coming down. And this is the Thunderbolt thundering to the ground for the last time. In 1982, the mall opens. This is opening day. I had a black and white in the book, and I didn't realize it was a rainy day. And when I went back to the picture, the photographer said, "Yeah, it was a rainy day that day, I think." And I'm like, "Yeah, it looks like a rainy day when you look at it in color." The bowling lanes will come down a year later. That ground will also be sold to Ronald Rubin, and they will put in the shops that are there now. Another interesting comparative is aerial views. What's that? 57 years later. Easton, Moreland. I mean, there's your park in 1925, really at the top of its game, or close there too, and there's the same ground with the park. What's fascinating is all the development beyond, or the lack thereof. Times have changed. But the park doesn't die, right? It's all great memories. The mall incorporated some of that into its displays. One of the great things reading all the newspaper articles leading up to the construction of the mall was that the neighbors fought there being a fourth anchor store. So it was only built as a 3-anchor store mall. But of course, as we all know, in 2001, they added the fourth anchor and Macy's moved in. Also in 2001, they added the Carousel, which was built by the Fabricon Carousel Company out of Brooklyn, New York. And in 2005, based primarily on old picture postcards, several of the students with the county through the Abington Arts Center did these mosaics that are up at the mall. So that's sort of the history. This picture is here to remind me to tell you that we have a Willow Grove Park book for sale if you're interested, although I'm sure you've all read it. That's the full picture that's on the cover. But what's great about this is just the great carving and the Victorian detail that went into those early coaster cars. And that's our credits. So there we go. Willow Grove Park. Any questions? Nope. Thank you.